from tourism class of 2020, and I will be your host and moderator throughout the competition. And now, let me welcome the player who will be participating in this match. Our first contingent will also be the one to represent the government side is Laili Nazwa Muslim, Emeline Aurelia Lauren, and Rizka Al-Zahra from Heimfokum. And onto our second contingent who will be representing the opposition side is Karimah Taksya Rahman, Amaral Azikri Swadi, and Aura Maharani from Himra. Let's give them the round of applause. And we are also joined by Mr. Dedi Sandro Lubis from Ministry of Public Works and Public Housing as the Chief Adjudicator. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Marvel.
And now I'm going to read the motion that will be used in today's preliminary match. The motion reads, the shift to digital learning leads to laziness compared to broad access and to knowledge. And with that, let's see what the sides have to say on the matter, starting with the Prime Minister of the government side. The stage is yours.
All right, thank you very much, dear moderator. Good afternoon, honorable judge, committee, and fellow debaters. My name is Laili Nazwa Muslim as the first speaker of the government team regarding the motion, the shift to digital learning leads to laziness compared to broad access to knowledge. I would also like to introduce my teammates, which are Emeline Aurelia Lauren as the second speaker and Rizka Al-Zahra as the third speaker. First, I would like to define some of the definitions that are mentioned in the motion, which is the first one, digital. Digital in itself, according to Oxford Languages, is an adjective which expressed a series of the digits of 1 and 0, typically represented by values of a physical quantity, such as magnetic polarization or voltage. But I am assured that we are not talking about that kind of digital. We are talking more about digital technology, which is, according to dictionary.com, is the branch of engineering and scientific knowledge that deals with the creation and practical use of computerized or digital devices, methods, system, and etc. And then we have learning. According to Malcolm Knowles, through his book, The Adult Learner, learning is the process of gaining expertise and knowledge. Then we have digital and learning combined, which is, according to a book titled Training Strategies for Organic Agriculture as a Pathway to Achieve the SDGs, digital learning is a practice of learning using technologies, combining different elements, such as blended or virtual learning, using e-learning or mobile technologies. It requires a combination of digital content, instruction, and technology. Turns out, the concept of digital learning in Indonesia was started in 1980, according to Mr. Nizam, the General Director of Higher Education in the Ministry of Education and Culture. It was operated through the Indonesia Global Development Learning Network and Indonesia Higher Education and Research Network, or Inherent. There were approximately 300 universities affiliated with Inherent regarding this digital learning. This concept was then developed and turned into what we're familiar with, Merdeka Belajar, or Freedom to Learn in literal English. Digital learning then died down and lost its momentum up until the COVID-19 pandemic hit Indonesia back in March of 2020. Due to the circumstances, all students from kindergarten until college was forced to switch to digital learning in their respective homes to stop or at least lessen the spread of the coronavirus. Digital learning has now been going on for about a year all throughout Indonesia. However, we're not talking about the shift from offline school to online school because of the pandemic. No, we're talking about a shift in learning from the conventional one to the digital one. That can lead to many negativities, including laziness. And here are the reasons as to why we firmly believe with the motion that states digital learning can lead to laziness compared to broad access to knowledge. The first one, students are easily distracted. It's not magic, it's not science that digital learning uses gadgets as their media to learn. And gadgets themselves have a lot of applications inside, whether it's entertainment, gaming, social media, you name it, which can lead to a lot of distractions. These distractions can lead to students not getting their schoolwork on time because they might procrastinate due to them playing their gadgets with the applications inside. According to Diksha Mittal, the founder of girlsdunia.com, one of the main causes of laziness is actually procrastination. The second one, the surveillance from teachers is not enough. Digital learning is a concept of learning in which teachers give out lectures and materials in forms of PowerPoints and or videos. Our question is, can we really trust the students enough to watch those PowerPoints and videos without enough surveillance from teachers? I mean, even in conventional learning methods with more surveillance from teachers, a lot of students still feel distracted and lazy. So can we really trust this shift to digital learning in which less teachers are surveilling them? And then the third one is with digital learning, everything is instant. This leads to students not wanting to think more and just accept what's already given. In conventional learning methods, we use books, and oftentimes we need to use more than one to get the information, to get the answers we wanted. With digital learning, you can just simply type in your question, the information you want to ask in Google or any other search engineering, website. And if you want to know, you can just simply tap the first website that pops up, and there you have it. It's quite rare for students to look at more than one website for answers and or information. So yeah, it's pretty instant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the speech, Prime Minister. And now we can hear the opposing views from the opposition leader. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, all the educator and all participants in this meeting. First of all, I want to say thank you for the opportunity. And before I explain the opposition statement, I would like to introduce the government team. I'm Karimata Chahman as the leader of opposition, and the second is Amaraf Azikri Suadi as the deputy leader of opposition, and last but not least is Aura Maharani as the opposition leader. Our motion for today is the shift to digital learning leads to laziness compared to broad access to knowledge. We, as opposition team, strongly disagree with this motion, and of course, we have a lot of statements for that. And before, we have to understand clearly what the digital learning means and the laziness that we won't talk about. According to APAG website written in 2021, digital learning is a learning method based on the use of new digital tools to enable learners to learn in a different way, whether it be face-to-face or distant learning, asynchronous or synchronous, or blended learning. It is therefore not a simple question of requesting educational content, but of a set of educational methods. So based on this website, digital learning is not just online learning, but using a laptop, using a gadget is a digital learning. And for the lazy means, according to Merriam-Webster, lazy is not liking to work hard or to be active, or not having much activity. And to remind for you all, now in this debate competition, right now, we practice the digital learning. We use the laptop, we do the online learning, we do the Zoom meeting. So how are we supposed to disagree about the digital learning when this method helps us still being productive during the pandemic? And now we are in 4.0 revolution era, the era when the technology is a dominant in everywhere. At school, we use projector for study method. At office, of course, we use laptop, we use computer, we use a printer, or even at home. We have a smart TV, we have a smart cleaning. So technology is a part of digital learning. And in this 4.0 revolution, technology is dominant. According to the Ministry of Communication and Informatics, or CAMCOMINFO, that currently internet users in Indonesia have reached to 82 million people. It's only in Indonesia. With this achievement, with this information, Indonesia is ranked 8th country in the world for the internet users. With this information, if you think how we're supposed to say that digital learning leads to laziness when most of Indonesian people, or even 80% people in this world do digital learning. And we forget we are in the midst of pandemic COVID-19, which limit us to do a meeting and learning face to face to avoid the COVID virus. And what the solution for that? How we keep all the students to keep learning, to keep them facing the education, continue learning when do the offline class gathering is forbidden.
Can I ask for a POI?
Sorry, I decline.
Okay.
Okay, and for this, I will say digital learning not leads the younger generation, not leads us to laziness. Instead, digital learning is the solution for that. If you say that digital learning is bad, so digital learning is lead to laziness, many distractions of that. So can you give me the other solution for us to still study and improve our knowledge with the technology? Because if you refuse the digital learning, it means you also refuse the using of technology in this situation, in this era, in all of our activity learning. So can you imagine in this pandemic era, in the midst of COVID-19, we not do the method, digital learning method. So I can confidently say it's impossible for us to survive. And when you say in online learning or digital learning, we easily use website or our study is become instant. So I think it's a revolution. It's not bad or it's not meaning leads to laziness. It's a revolution for us. It's the improvement for us. So I think it's enough for me. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech of opposition leader. And now we can see the affirmative view from Deputy Prime Minister. The time is yours.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to rebut the first speaker of the opposition team that we are shifting to digital learning due to the pandemic, not because of the curriculum. And we're not talking about the solution in this pandemic because it's two different things compared to the mention, which is the shift itself, motion, which is the shift itself. And then I would like to continue to the reasons why digital learning could lead to laziness. First is the technology issues. With network issues, students tend to become unmotivated to learn more because of the signal problem that keeps on coming could make students feel hopeless and tired of keep on trying. And of course, this issue that keeps on recurring could lead to laziness. And then digital learning can lead to organized study materials because with conventional learning methods, you're usually required to have 1 or 2 books in one subject. For example, history and math, you have 2 separate books. But in digital learning, most of the time, students will only get their learning materials in uncoordinated files or write their own summary that they've learned in Google Docs or Microsoft Word. Our problem is with not all students are organized. Messy, unorganized files usually leads to laziness because they don't even know where the files are at in the first place. A research that has been done by Reliable Points stated that the average person wastes 4.3 hours per week searching for documents, which increases stress and reduces concentration and creative thinking. Furthermore, the average executive loses an hour of productivity every single day searching for missing information. And then because because by digital learning, which makes students have to look at screens for so long, could lead to laziness too and other health problems. According to Dr. Yi Huang, professor and associate dean for research at the Illinois College and Optometry, fatigue, dry eyes, and common effects of excessive screen time, which can lead to laziness because they would want to rest for quite some time to refresh their eyes. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister, for the speech. And now we can hear the opposition Deputy of Opposition Leader views. Time is yours.
Good afternoon. Thank you for giving me a chance to explain my opinion about this motion. I'm Amaral Azikri as part of opposition statement. First of all, I strongly did not agree that you say from the first speaker said digital learning lead us to laziness. Where we at right now? We are in digital learning. So when you say digital learning lead us to laziness, everyone in here is lazy. I'm not here right now if I'm lazy, right? And the second one, I just want to ask you something. Before we get into this situation, before we in the long distance learning period, student, where do you get the information or the answer to finish your homework, your quiz, your test? I confidence to say that information that you get since junior high school, I think 50% is the digital things. Example, Google, or maybe when we are in junior high school, the fire is the brainly application. The third one is, if y'all say we talk about technology, what technology that you frequently use since you become student? Can you be a student that not require digital things or technology to learn? If you can, why you be here? Why you can't continue last semester to this semester without the digital learning? At least 50 until 70%, something that we learn, we see is the digital things. You cannot escape for digital learning. I confident to say that the information or data or arguments that y'all say in this debate is also from the internet. I said the Oxford, say all the university, all is from the internet.
Can I ask for POI?
Yes, of course.
Okay. I would just like to state that again, we would like to stress that this is a shift to digital technology in a big picture, not the sources that we can use to gain information. Thank you.
Okay. If it's in the big picture, we reduce our scope. We reduce the scope. Right now, just see what we are doing right now. If you say in the bigger scope, we decrease our scope. We right now, where we at? We are in digital learning. We are right now in digital learning. If you say digital learning lead us to laziness, I think the digital learning is have a bigger potential to become a better person, to a multi-talent person, multitask person, adaptive, because we have to adapt to this situation that we cannot expect to be happen. When junior high school, we teach to learn so many websites, so many applications. To become ready to have like this situation, we cannot expect this situation to happen. This pandemic, we cannot expect to be happen. But right now, the pandemic happens, we can adapt because what the teacher teach us since junior high school to use so many websites, so many applications. When I said the digital learning is half of so many potential because how quick we can search and learn a lot of things. The last speaker said that we have to get a different books at once. In the digital learning, it takes only 0.3 seconds or 0.5 seconds, a millions of documents of everything you want to learn, everything, different things, different skills, different method at once. If you have the different books, you have one skills, but you have different method to learn and master that skills. But right now in digital things, you have one method, but so many skills at once. So that is a big difference. It's a major difference. How, when I said the potential to be a better person, that the example of how big the potential we have, because so it's just how quick the documents, the something we can learn in the internet is just takes 0.3 or 0.5 seconds to learn a lot of things at once. If you want to compare the 2000s era and 2010s era, how many changes, how many improve, for we can see on the mirror how many improve we are since the digital era, the industry 4.0 happens. I think my argument is strongly enough to represent my arguments. Thank you for the chance. That's all from me.
Thank you, Deputy Opposition Leader, for the argument. And now we can hear the affirmative view from the government whip. The time is yours.
Okay, good afternoon, the Hanam Reliable Education, Sir Sandoro, and all my friends. My name is Rizka Alzahra, as third speaker of my team. First of all, I wanted to say sorry because I don't use virtual background. Okay, again, we would like to press that we are talking about the shift to digital technology, with or without the pandemic, not the pros and cons of digital learning itself and best. Okay, and based on argument first and second speaker, we firmly believe the shift to digital learning leads to laziness compared to broad access to knowledge. I support argument speaker 1 and 2. With digital learning, everything is instant. Like we can access everything from internet and it easy not make us wasting time. And digital learning make us easily distracted. Digital learning use gadgets and as their media to learn, and gadgets themselves have a lot application inside. Example, when social media notification keep popping up in your gadget, meanwhile we currently do digital learning, it can make us distracted. Perwento and Prihastiwi 2017 said, the online learning have the more negative impacts that affect the quality of education as a whole. Example, from website Suara, student junior high school in Jakarta said, online school make us lazy when they learn by virtual. It's make them hard to understand something and make them lazy because they don't know what they learn about. Based on survey of parents and students from UNICEF educational specialist Nugroho Warman said, the biggest challenge that students face while learning at home is a lack of internet access and electronic device.
Sorry,
Sorry, but I decline it. Can I continue my argument? Okay, it's a lack of internet access and electronic device. Parents also have to focus on other obligations to support their family, which leaves them with less time to support their children, and it makes their children lazy. Because no one watch over their activity when they do digital learning. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Government Whip, for the speech. And now we can hear the speech from the Opposition Whip. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Aura as the Opposition Whip. First, I would like to say, based on the second speaker says, the solution for pandemic era with digital learning is two different things with our motion. Sorry, I cannot agree with that, because if you refuse the digital learning, it means you have to find other solution for the pandemic. Second, I would like to say it is true that most of the people isn't a fan of the long distance study during the pandemic, but it is also true that the shift to digital learning have opened wide access to education to people. Now with the technology used during class, such as language apps, virtual tutoring, video conferencing tools, and other learning software, digital learning has helped students in many ways. such as preparing them for the 4.0 industrial revolution that focus mostly on the use of digital technology, which also we have been preparing for even before the pandemic happened. Digital learning also requires us time. Students are now all allowed to study with more flexible time and energy, also allowing them to choose to study on which time of the day they are most productive. Now, with the help of digital learning, we are able to keep up with the fast growth of education, even while staying home and comfortable. And surely, digital learning isn't the cause of student laziness. It is caused by other personal reasons. And laziness exists even before the shift happened. But what is for sure is that the integration of information technology in education will be further accelerated, and that online education will eventually become an integral component of school education. As stated by Wang Tao, Vice President of Tencent Education, on WeForum article, there also have been successful transition to digital learning amongst universities. For example, Zhejiang University managed to get more than 5,000 courses online just 2 weeks into the transitions. And of course, our own university, University of Indonesia as an example. So when the most of the globe agrees that digital learning has good impact, I'm sure the issue isn't in the shift to digital learning. Thank you. That's all from me. Back to the moderator.
Thank you, Opposition Whip, for the opinion. And now we can hear the reply speech from the opposition reply speaker first. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity, and it's my pleasure to conclude the debate that we already done. So we are from the opposition team. We strongly disagree with this motion, which states the shift to digital learning leads to laziness compared to broad access to knowledge. And before that, the government team, the first speaker until the third speaker, I will say that the shift to digital learning in pandemic and the motion that we talk about right now is two different things. So I'm sorry, I cannot agree with that, because if you disagree about digital learning, it means you disagree about the digital learning we do for in the midst of this pandemic. Like this, we do the debate in the Zoom meeting, we do the online learning. So if you refuse the digital learning that leads to laziness, it means you also refuse the solution of this pandemic. So, and if you refuse, can you give the other solution in this pandemic without online learning, without digital learning? And for remind you, according to ITH website, digital learning is a learning method, not just online learning. We use a laptop, it's a digital learning. We use a projector, it's a digital learning. So I say again, if you refuse the digital learning, so you also refuse this method that we do now in this debate. So am I have the time out? Or can I continue the speech?
You can continue.
Okay. And I say again, the digital learning is solution, not just the laziness for us, for the younger generation, but it's the solution, and it give us more knowledge, more easier to find another knowledge. So can you imagine if we have no technology, or we refuse the technology? Because if you refuse the digital learning, it means you refuse the technology. Example, we want to know about the explanation about something. If we use this technology, we can directly search in website what is blah blah blah. So in in seconds we find the answer. But without technology, we have to go to a library, research the book, so it takes hours or maybe days for us to know the other new knowledge for us. So you can say the technology and digital learning in this pandemic, the shift to digital learning due to this pandemic is two different things, because it's not, it's related. So I think it's clearly enough to conclude all this debate, and thank you.
Okay, thank you for the opposition reply speaker for the opinion. And a little bit reminder that reply speech has the time of 4 minutes and 20 seconds. I'm sorry that I forget to remind that. And there is no POI. And now let's hear the opinion from the government reply speaker. The time is yours.
Thank you very much, moderator, for the time. I would like to state that we are never refusing the digital learning. We never stated that we're refusing it. We're just stating that digital learning leads more to laziness compared to broad access to knowledge. And I would like to point out that the first speaker statement, which is with digital learning, with technology, you can easily search an information or an answer to a question more easier and faster. That is also our point, in which we stated with digital learning, everything is instant. This leads to students not wanting to think more and just accept what's already given. In conventional learning methods, we use books, and oftentimes we need to use more than one to get the information that we want to have. So that's what we mean by digital learning can make us lazy. But all in all, the government team still firmly believe that the shift to digital learning leads to laziness compared to broad access to knowledge. As we have mentioned before, there are a lot of reasons. Some of them are we can be easily distracted. And then the surveillance from teacher is not as enough as if we're doing conventional learning methods. And then again, everything is instant with digital learning, in which the first speaker of the opposition team has stated also, in which I think she also agrees with it. And then there are technology issues that maybe we are not familiar with, and then we need to do more time, or maybe if we're not even committed to solve the technology, we can get too lazy. And then digital learning can lead to many unorganized study materials that can lead to also feeling lazy, because as we stated before, a research that has been done by Reliable Point stated that the average person wastes 4.3 hours per week searching for documents, which increases stress and reduces concentration and creative thinking. And then looking at screens for too long is also it has a lot of health problems, including fatigue, dry eyes, tired eyes that can lead to laziness, because we would like to rest our eyes with every 20-25 minutes of looking at our screens consecutively. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the reply speech from the government side. And that concludes today's debate. Thank you for both teams. And now we can hear the opinions from the adjudicator. To Mr. Sandro, the time is yours.
Thank you, Marvel, for the chance. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you for your performance. It's a great performance. Now I would like to tell you my evaluation about your performance. Our motion today is the shift to digital learning leads to laziness compared to broad access to knowledge. I do believe that there are 3 points that you should understand about this motion. The first is the shift itself. The second is about digital learning. And the third is about laziness. Well, now we're going to the first speaker of the government team. The first speaker of the government team has already succeeded to define the motion. First of all, you define about digital itself, and also you told us the definition about digital learning based on the reference. You already told us about that digital learning already applied in Indonesia, like we call Merdeka Belajar. And it continue because of this pandemic era. We continue the digital learning. And you also told us about digital learning nowadays use gadget. There are so many distraction to students like games, entertainment things, and even you compare to the conventional system in education that there are most of students in Indonesia still lazy because so many the distraction that happening in the schools. And how about if you use the digital learning? Thank you for your opinion. And we are going to the first speaker of the opposition team. Well, you also give a rebuttal to the first speaker of the government. You make the other definition of digital learning. I think you make it become a noun because you always told that the definition digital learning is that we use technology as a tool to help us in education system like a laptop, like gadget, and it's not only about the system in education itself. And you also gave example, if we are lazy we are not joining this kind of debate competition. So it's such an easy example of digital learning nowadays. And you also told us one good reference from Kominfo that internet users has increased by years in Indonesia, especially students itself. And now I'm going to the second speaker of the government house. You also strengthening your first speaker because you make a clear definition about this motion. The shift to digital learning leads to laziness compared to broad access to the knowledge. You told us that the important point in this motion is the shift and digital learning. Uh, you you say that your team or your first speaker already told that digital learning is about the activity. I mean, verb. But the first speaker of opposition, define the digital learning with noun. So the second speaker of the government team also make some good told us one good reference from the health perspective that you say that it's not good for student eyes if students look for screen for a long time, and it will raise their board and it will going to laziness. And now I'm going to evaluate the second speaker of the opposition team. Uh, you come, you came with the quote or you said that everyone is lazy, and information things you get nowadays is from digital things. I think you want to strengthening the first speaker of your team, that the first speaker of yours already told the definition about digital learning, that using the technology tools. And also you said that everyone nowadays use website like this debate competition. And you already told that if we do not if we refuse the digital learning, so we refuse the advance of technology nowadays. And come up with to the third speaker of the government house. Once again you have a good rebuttal because you still strengthening your first and second speaker about the motion, that is the shift, that we should focus to the shift of digital learning, not to the tools itself. And you already told us that online school nowadays, because of pandemic era, makes students hard to understand because they just look to the screen and it for a long hours, and it will make us become bored, and it will decrease their concentration, that cause a less of creativity. and also you strengthening the team from the health perspective, like the eyes. It's not good for eyes if we look too much to the screen. And I'm going to the speaker of the opposition. Uh, like the other speakers, you also strengthening your first and second speaker that digital learnings is not only a system. And I think your team still consistent about the definition of digital learning, because digital learning is about the technology that we use, that even we use the technology before the pandemic era. So to keep, you said also to keep up with the information in this globalization era, we need all those gadgets, we need all those technologies to make the student become stand out and can compete with the other student. And also you taught us about the real example that happening in University of Indonesia. Well, thank you. And I'm going to the third speaker. I think that's enough. Thank you for your performance, and we'll see who is the third winner on this debate competition later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sandro, for the comments regarding to the both teams. And with that, the competition is over. And I would say thank you and congratulations to both teams, because both teams performed really good. And I wish that both teams will have the result that they want, which is right now the third place. And further announcement will be informed by the committee. And now let us close this third playoff match and keep our spirits up to players, and see you and let's hope for the best for both teams. Thank you. And I'm your moderator saying goodbye. And both